Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 10X Your Character podcast. Today, here with me, I got Peter Madrigal. For those who don't know him, he's an actor, producer, and filmmaker. You may know him from Vanderpump Rules, personality TV show at Bravo TV. How's it going, my man?
Hey, I'm good. How are you today?
No complaints.
No complaints?
Living the life.
I'm not really an actor, though. I can't, like, an actor to me is somebody who does movies or TV shows that are scripted. Like,
Okay.
You can't give me a script and make me memorize it and then feel those lines. It just doesn't work for me. I've tried and I've failed.
Okay.
Trust me.
So what's the right word to
TV personality. What you got? You got
TV personality.
I'm always like worried about if they write up an article. Well, Peter says he's an actor. I'm not an actor.
Okay, that's on my part. So yeah, man. For those who don't know who you are, those that, a lot of the people that are gonna be listening to this, they're gonna know who you are. But for those that don't, give a little background of your story, where you come from, and how you've gotten to the place you are today.
Well, I was born in Texas, in like one of the poorest counties in the nation, in the United States, and I went to college in Glenn College in Brenham, Texas. Well, I mean, like, my family kind of moved around all over Texas, but I went to college for a year and a half at Glenn College in Brenham, and then I transferred over to USC. So USC is the only university I actually applied to.
Wow.
Yeah, I've always been a Plan A guy because if you have a Plan B, and that means you're not going to work hard enough for Plan A.
That's very true.
I've never had a Plan B, and people are always saying like, oh, well, you've got all this stuff going on. It's like, well, those aren't Plan Bs. Okay, those are just projects that I'm doing on the side at this point. But I've always been a Plan A guy. You know what I mean? Because if you have a Plan B, then you're not going to work hard enough at Plan A to get to that to succeed in that. Yeah. You're like, okay, well, I have a Plan B. It's fine. No. Mm-hmm. Give it all, or don't even make that a goal.
Yeah. Like the Rock mentions that, he says, there was no door behind me. Like, there's no Plan B that I can fall back to. If I fall forward.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Towards that goal that I'm always facing. That's great.
So yeah, that's why like USC was the only university I applied to, and because I was like, I had the mentality, if I don't get into USC, I'm not going to finish up college. Yeah. Then I got into USC. So.
And what did you study there?
I did theater arts.
Okay.
So it's funny because I have another friend who's living here in the city, and she and I kind of like we passed each other. I was graduating as she was coming in. And she was all like, Peter, you and I are the only ones left from, that we knew at that time in school, in college at USC, that are still actually working in the business. Everyone else is kind of like just falling by the wayside.
Yeah. And why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think that this city, just like New York, can chew you up and spit you out, especially in the entertainment industry. It really can. You have to have a lot of determination to get to that next level, but you also have to have you have to realize your strengths and your weaknesses. If you just go about life saying, I'm the best, and that's it, the world will bring you down in very quickly.
Yeah.
So I've always tried to stay humble, keep my humility. But some people, like for instance, for me, just talking from my experience, I came out wanting to be an actor. I did theater school, all that stuff, and I found out very quickly that I'm not an actor. I recognized that deficiency in me, and I changed things up. It's not like Plan B. It was more like, I still want to be involved in the entertainment industry, but I know I'm not an actor. Well, there's a lot of different jobs that you can do in the entertainment industry.
A lot of different roles, yeah.
Yes.
And when you went to USC, was your plan was your dream or your plans or your goals to become an actor first?
Yeah. That was my dream, my plan, my goal was to become an actor. Didn't work out that way, I did a short film that people can find, and on YouTube. I'm not giving the name of it. But that being said, I found out very quickly that I could not act. You know, I was always like, how like you see actors with their emotion, because they're like, they learn a line and they regurgitate that line out, but they bring their own, emotion to it. I can't do that. Like, that's not something that you see me on camera, like, kind of thinking about the next line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not acting. That's not the way you act,
Yeah. And I think that's so important because I know people that have graduated actually from even USC now, 2020. Yeah. And one, it's hard for them right now to get jobs because of Corona. Every job they apply, they're not going to get accepted. A lot of them have student debt, and some of them have actually realized that what they study for was not actually something they were interested in. And now they're in this kind of like the desert where they have so much, not just judgment from society, but parents and what are friends going to think of me, things of that sort. How do you deal with, like, even going through and having expectations to become somebody like an actor, and then realizing, because that's important, and I think that you're not always gonna get things right at first, and you may not have to adapt and make changes in your career. And what would be an advice you would give to people that are in this position right now?
Man, how would I put this delicately? I never really gave any credence to, I respect opinions, but I never gave any credence to what people thought. Like friends, family. Oh, Peter, you got to understand, I'm Hispanic. So I come from that side of the racial pool, is like, they're always like, go to school, make sure you make something, become a lawyer, doctor, whatever the field is. Go into the Army, the Navy, etc., military. And I went on a totally different route. And I had a bunch of members of my family telling me I was never going to make it, right? And, that just adds a little bit of drive to who I am as a person. When you get so much flack for wanting to do one thing, and then people, say, oh, you're never going to make it. It's like, okay, well, you don't, in other words, don't put a lot of stock into other people's opinions. You do what you want. You do what makes you happy. If you fail at that, you just keep pushing until you succeed. Yeah. That's just the way I look at it. Mm-hmm. Because I was determined to do something in the entertainment industry. Yeah.
But you had to switch kind of like roles, right?
Yeah.
And for someone who cannot identify that fact, right? Because there's people that are continuously pushing through, which is a discipline, and it's resilience, and those things are virtues that need to be considered, need to be discussed. But what if a person, how can, is it just self-awareness that you need in order for you to identify, like, is this actually something that I'm not necessarily talented, but I can progress and become better at, or I'm just trying to do something because I've seen other people do, and I'm kind of, basing it off of what I've seen online and in the media, and it's really not for me, but I'm lying to myself. How do you think that you identified that?
You put it right. You have to have a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I was self-aware enough to understand that I'm not a good actor. So I stopped doing that. I stopped pursuing that, and I decided to take it in a different route, because there's always a different angle that you can take. Like for instance, if you're a lawyer, and you want to become a criminal justice, you're a criminal lawyer, study, but then you can't take a case because the guy's guilty of murder, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you can't do that, then switch it up and become like a personal injury lawyer, mm-hmm. or become a prosecutor. There's different. In other words, my point is you got to look at if you want to get into a field, but it's not specifically what you want, or you can't handle that particular angle, mm-hmm. take a different angle to it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It doesn't mean that don't stop doing what you're doing, or your schooling is a waste. Adapt to take it from a different angle and adapt to the career that you want.
Yeah, like your personality, what you can actually handle, right? Because, and that's so important. And I think you touched in something so crucial, which is like even the fact that, like, I think for me in my life, I always accept advice from people. It's welcome. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, the decision that I make, it's gonna be a conclusion of my thoughts.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
exactly.
process that advice, and I'm gonna see if it works for me and it makes sense for my situation.
Yeah.
No one's gonna know better than me.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying don't take constructive criticism. I take a lot of constructive criticism. Hell, I'm doing my own Peter Madrigal social happy hour. I started that at the beginning of the quarantine, and I have a producer, Johnny. He used to produce a bunch of produce Jerry Springer's show, so he produces my show now.
Yeah.
And he gave me a lot of constructive criticism, and I was looking for it too from him. I was like, "What do you think? How do you think this came?" He's like, "Okay, Peter, you don't do this, and do that on the next time." It's like, "Okay, cool." And some people can't take that constructive criticism because it's too it hurt my
Uncomfortable,
feelings,
yeah.
and it's like, dude, how will you improve as a person? You know, I love constructive criticism. No, I'm not saying I like if you criticize me for the sake of criticizing me,
That's
that's
different.
different. That's just you being a hater.
Yeah.
You know, but if you give me a little bit of constructive criticism and like, hey, you probably should look at it like this or do this or try this.
Yeah.
That's different. You know,
Mhm.
but if you're just like, oh, Peter sucks. Okay.
That's your opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you think that do you look to always surround yourself with people like that? Because that's another issue that I see in my generation. It's like everything is about feelings, and not to say that those feelings are important, but you're gonna have to put some feelings aside if you want to grow, right? For example, the discussion, it's like, do what makes you happy, do what makes you passionate. It is important, but you need to understand that even when you're doing what you love, let's say, not every aspect of your day-to-day lifestyle within that occupation is gonna be lovely. There's gonna be aspects that you're gonna dislike.
Yeah, there is. In any job you take, like if you decide to do one thing, or I go back to what, or even I'll take it from, there's certain things like someone could put out an article or something, you're not going to like it, and then all of a sudden that you makes you feel uncomfortable, but it's how you get past that uncomfortability. you
Yeah.
know?
And do you always look to surround yourself with people that can give you that constructive
Oh
criticism?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah. And how do you think that has impacted your life?
It's impacted me in a very positive way.
Yeah.
Because if you can take that criticism and you can internalize it and be like, okay, this is how I can improve myself. There you go.
Yeah. Because
I mean, for instance, I made sure to start taking better care of myself. Like in season 4 of Vanderpump Rules, I had an article come out. I think it was in Us Weekly, and they were all like, "Peter's haircut looks like the character Amelie,"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, I got to fix that. You know what I mean? Even bad criticism can be good, constructive.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, that's why I think it's so important to surround yourself with people that can tell you, like, straight up, if you're doing something correct, or you could be doing something better with your time.
Exactly.
Or fix something, because a lot of times we have blind spots as individuals, right?
Yeah.
But you pointed out something so important. Like, there's the difference between telling someone something to want to help them, and you see that person as being able to be better than they are today.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're just trying to stab them with a criticism, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And how do you think you're able to identify the difference?
How can I identify the difference? That's a good question, actually. You can identify the difference in, like, in the way people are, talking to you.
Yeah.
If someone says, "Oh, you suck," just for the sake of it, it's like, okay, well, that's something that I'm just gonna kind of ignore and carry on with my day. But if someone says, "Hey, Pedro, you could have improved. You could have improved your questions like this, that, or the third," and then you can go back and rewatch yourself and, like, be like, "Oh, okay, I could do that." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
So
constructive. There's a difference.
There's, like, a story behind it, like, that they can point out to why.
Like, for instance, with me, I kept on having this habit on my live show of of interviewing someone, because I'd bring on random people, social happy hour with Peter. I'd bring on someone random, and then what would end up happening is that I would regurgitate what he or she was saying. It's like, okay, good talk with this person. Yeah, what happened, blah, 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 blah. Start talking about the conversation I just had. And my producer was all like, don't do that anymore. Cut it out. Actually, when you get off with them, when you finish the conversation with them, start reading some of the comments. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's constructive criticism.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's how important, like, which shows, like, the intentions were never bad from your part in that case. But like, with his experience, you can tell that, like, okay, like, it's better to do that. People that are going to be listening to this, they'll engage more.
Yes.
Or whatever the case is.
Exactly.
The results that can come as a consequence of you changing that specific thing.
So you tighten up. Let's say in my experience, or with my life, you tighten it up, and you're like, okay, this is even better. This sounds even better. You know what I mean? And you keep on perfecting it over.
Yeah. Now, coming back to, like, the entertainment industry, someone that's trying to, either graduated from school or trying to get into the entertainment industry, or is in a different career, and they're trying to switch it to become, like, a specific role in the entertainment industry, what would you say they should be, like, what are some misconceptions of what people think the industry is like that it's not actually in reality, and that they should be aware of before coming in?
Once you step onto the next plane, the next plateau, once you get to that level, like, let's say you get to my level, right? One thing that you got to be ready for is you got to be ready for everything. You got to be stepping on eggshells. You cannot, like, just go and start voicing your opinion, or you get destroyed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because, like, you have to be conscientious all the time of what you're saying.
Yeah.
You can't just be
blind.
Yeah, exactly. You have to, like, but I think, in my opinion, that goes for anything in life. You can't just, like, go about saying whatever you think. Like, you have to have to be conscious about you, because you're a leader at that point. You know what I mean? People are looking up to you.
Yeah. That's crucial.
Yes, exactly.
The fact
your words have meaning, as they say.
And they impact people, especially people that look up to you.
Yes.
And that you brought such a good point, because you have a following, you have people that look up to you from different backgrounds, different countries, that have watched Vanderpump Rules, that follow your lifestyle. Like, how do you see that? Like, how important is that to you, and how has that changed your way of even behaving once you see that there's
it's very important to me. It's like, I know that, well, like, what I say and what I do has, so I always try to present myself in a great light, make myself look, as good as I can every day if I'm doing something like this, or even if I'm out walking about, like, I'm so casual, like, I try not to do too much, but at the same time, you have to present yourself in a good way. You're representing something other than you, Yeah. And that's what you have to be conscientious about. You're not just representing yourself. At this point, I'm not just representing me. I'm representing Sir. I'm representing Bravo TV. I'm representing my companies, So at a certain point, you have to realize that it's not about you anymore. Once you cross that threshold, it's not about you. You're representing other things besides yourself. So if you can't take pride in yourself, why would they want to hire you?
Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned, Sir, you mentioned Bravo TV. I know you have celebrity slots, other businesses, merch. You have now your show on YouTube.
Yeah.
How do you handle so much?
I don't have a girlfriend. I don't. I mean, like, I'm just like, in my past experience, it's just like at one point it was interesting. At one point, like, getting a girlfriend was like the most important thing to me, and then, about a year and a half ago, I had this epiphany, and it's when I started Celebrity Slots, that company. I helped start it. I just kind of get focused on that, and then I started focusing on all this other stuff, and just like focusing on the show, and eventually it just kind of became what I am today. It's like I'm just like focused on that, and then that's it,
And talk a little about, like, how did you figure it out? Because I don't think that's for everyone, right? Like, I don't think anyone can just like, would you recommend that sort of lifestyle to anyone, or do you think you need to identify, again, be self-aware
You
and
have to be self-aware about it. Like, I don't know, yeah, you do have those lonely moments where you're like, oh man, I wish I had a girlfriend right now. But then you start thinking about it, and it's like, yeah, but you have to have there's a trade-off.
Yeah.
If you want to do what I do, you have to make sacrifices.
Yeah.
You can't just like, oh, I'm gonna have a girlfriend, and if that's the most important thing to you, it's like, I mean, like, to each their own. Me, I like being busy all the time and working on everything that I do.
Yeah. And how did you figure that out? Like, did you just put it to practice? And
I just kind of switched my thinking.
Okay.
That's not to say that I don't go on dates anymore. But I mean, like, you just kind of, I don't know what it is.
It's even hard to, let's be honest, like, it's even hard to fit like,
it really is.
A person in your lifestyle, because let's be honest, like, a relationship requires time, requires attention, and if you have so much on your plate, it's gonna be hard for you to.
It's like like growing a plant. You have to grow a relationship.
Yeah.
You have to put time and effort into it. Just like you have to put time and effort into anything that you do and you want to be successful at.
Yeah.
If you want a great relationship, you have to put time and effort into it. And me, like, my relationships have suffered because I'm just like putting time and effort into everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really about, like, realizing what your priority is and what you want, and then taking action towards it.
Yeah.
And once you face adversity, like, because I know through your trajectory, it wasn't always easy, for sure.
No, it wasn't. It was a very difficult trajectory. I mean, like.
Yeah, can you talk a little about, like, maybe some adversity or some of the failures that you experienced, and how has that shaped your character and the person you are?
Well, how do I say this? To start off with, you have to lose a lot of pride, in my opinion. Like, I don't have that much. I try to be as humble as possible. Like, I find that there's some people out there that are like, oh, I don't want to be a busser. Well, I started as a busser at SIR. After I graduated from college, I started as a busser at SIR. And I worked my way up. Some people just wanted it handed to them, and I'm like, no, you have to work for stuff. But I always had that mentality ever since I was. I did not come from a rich background.
Yeah.
In fact, I came from the opposite. So anybody that tells me, oh, you didn't earn anything, it's like, oh, trust me, I did. Every single thing I've earned in my life. And it comes from, like, a certain determination. Like, like I said, I come from nothing.
Yeah. And that's important because
you learn humility.
You do, and but it's also like not necessarily easy, but it's hard to do the opposite, because, like, when you come from a place where you have nothing and you achieve certain things, it's easy to become so prideful of it, because it's like, in a sense, like, you've developed an identity for yourself.
Yes, exactly.
And you take pride in it, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but again, like, the longer I think that you eat yourself up with those achievements, you plateau, and you cannot actually move forward with, like, to want more or create more and create more impact, because you're too busy looking at yourself with, like, what you've achieved.
Yeah.
And that's crucial, man. How do you think that, going from where you started, being where you are today, and meeting the people that you have, surround yourself with the people that you surround yourself today, like, if, again, coming back to those people, those young individuals that are just graduated college or even high school, Generation Z, like, I think starts at 14 to 22 or 23. These people, right now they're already overwhelmed from the fact that they cannot get a job, right? It's hard. A lot of companies have closed down. Opportunities that they thought they were going to have when they came out of school are not as present as they were before.
Sorry, I'm adjusting myself.
No, that's fine. And then there's people that, again, as I said, graduated with a college degree and they're not so sure if that's what they wanted, right? A mentor of mine, he told me when I first told him, I'm interested in real estate. He says, first, go get a job in real estate, because right now you think you'll like it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know.
You don't know yet.
Yeah, because you haven't put your hands in the
Yeah.
field. So, I mean, I think that's a great advice for all these people. Like, go work in whatever it is you say you love to do, and
Get
then
an internship in what you love to do, in
Yeah.
what you think you love to do, you know?
Yeah.
And find out what the grind is, and because everything's a grind.
yeah,
Even filming a TV show, like, filming a movie is a big grind. That's a fact. Okay.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, like, I have a film out there that you can watch right now. You can go on YouTube and watch it. It's called The Bride and Destiny. That took us 3 or 4 years to make.
wow,
You know? It's a grind. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot this, that, and the third, and then that's it. If you want to make quality, it's going to take time. You
Yeah.
know, and that comes from like me finding the script, me raising the money, us filming the whole project, finding the right people to fill the roles, hiring the personnel, filming the project, yeah, and then doing editing 3D art. Anything's a grind. So you have to
Yeah.
have, in other words, what I'm getting at is, if you get into something, you got to have passion for it.
okay,
And you got to enjoy it. You got to love it.
That's true. And how do you think you stay motivated? Because I'm sure even from those steps that you just mentioned, there was times that things didn't go as you expected, and times that maybe you were like, wow, like this has been a grind, and we're not getting to places. When you face those type of adversities, what keeps you motivated besides, of course, loving what you do?
I don't know how to explain it, but I've never really been I've never been one of those type of guys who's like gotten discouraged.
Yeah.
If something hits you in the face, it's like, okay, well, how do I fix this?
Wow. That's a great way to put things into perspective.
How do I fix it? How do I readjust?
You don't waste your time contemplating on the fact that something happened.
I don't cry over spilled milk. You can't just like be there and be like, oh my God, it's I lost this, that, and the third. No, you have to like, okay, what did I do wrong? How do I fix it? I remember back in 2010, I had some financial troubles, but I was like, stay motivated. You dwell on it for like a couple hours, I guess. I can't remember exactly how many hours, but that was 10 years ago. And you're like, okay, how do I readjust and how do I continue forward?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because otherwise, like, you spend the whole time that you could have fixing things or changing things, adapting or figuring solutions to your problems, and you waste that time contemplating on the fact that things went wrong. It's like, guess what? Like, things go wrong for everyone.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
And I think that's even the humility plays a part in that aspect of you be able to get over things. It's because, again, it's the pride that even like puts you in that jail that you're like, oh my God, why me? Why this happened to me? Like, no, I worked so hard for this. It's like, guess what? There's people that you can call right now that probably work twice as hard as you and haven't gotten nowhere because things happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So once you start change your perspective and put it that way, you're gonna be not only more grateful for what the things that you already have in your circumstances, but that's gonna give you motivation for you to keep going and striving for more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, what would you say is a habit that you've put in place in your life that has completely or dramatically changed an aspect of your life?
How do I put this? Something that is really something I put into practice and changed the way I do things is recently I added a second thing, but for a year and a half, I think it was 2018, I made a commitment to dress better. That was number one. Number two was make my bed every morning. So that was not a habit for me until I did some constructive criticism on myself, and there was an episode out there that was like not the best light for me. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to have to readjust that. So I started making my bed every morning, right? And now the third thing that I added to all that is I wake up, I make my bed, I go work out. That's third. So that's every morning for me. Now, some mornings, like today, for instance, I took the day off from working out because it's like, it can be a grind and your muscles can start feeling it, and you're not going to be able to if you can't put in 100%, then you're not, then don't do it. Give your body a rest. But my point is that once you get into that habit of okay, I got one task done, how many more, and then I got a second task done, how many more tasks can I accomplish?
Yeah. And it's so important that moment to moment behavior actually impacts your upcoming one. Yes. Right? Like it's the same way.
I've gotten down to the hour.
Yeah, and it happens the opposite way too. Mm-hmm. You wake up at the wrong scheduled time, and then you probably won't eat right. And if you don't eat right, you probably won't perform well.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah. So it's like, be conscious, right? Like be conscious of your behaviors, not just how you speak to people if you have influence, but be conscious of your daily life, what's happening behind the scenes, because that's technically gonna impact how your future will look like. If you want it to be better, you're gonna have to perform better. And I just think that people my age that even doing this, man, starting the podcast, I remember it took me so long, I kept telling myself I was gonna do it, but I kept allowing.
That's another thing that you're gonna get onto that I'm gonna say is always, it's always plan A, like I said, but follow through. Always follow through.
Yeah.
If you have a plan and you want to do it, follow through on that.
Yeah. Yeah, because even for me, coming from Brazil, moving here, seeing the opportunities my parents gave me for being in this country, sacrificing their friends and their lifestyle there so that I could be here, and seeing that as an opportunity, it's already a burden for me to carry, but it's a good burden because it gives me the responsibility that I have to do things. And then when I look at my generation, I see problems such as, lack of self-confidence, all those aspects. I think it's my duty for my generation for me to speak my voice out there and be able to do whatever I can to help those people flourish in their life.
Yes.
And that was my plan, but it took me almost 8 months to really get things going with the podcast.
Well, here's the thing. Once you get one thing going, then the next thing becomes easier. And then the next thing.
Yeah.
For instance, I have my own podcast now too called Madrigal at the Movies with Rob and Rob. We're already on iTunes. We're already on all the platforms, and we're looking at other platforms as well right now. My point is that started, but it was like a domino effect. It's okay, so I did this, and then I did the show, and then I tried some other stuff, didn't work. But once stuff started sticking, like celebrity slots, and then the live. Yeah. So I started my own vlog series during, but that ended because of COVID, and I'm going to revisit that. My point is that once you get on a roll, you're going to find it difficult to stop that roll. Mm-hmm. You're the only person that can stop that roll is you.
Yeah.
But like I said, my advice to everybody is have a little humility. Don't be so prideful. When you get a job, work as hard as you can at that job. Get up in the morning, make your bed, work out, and then do a list of things, because you got plenty of time. There's many hours in the day. You don't have to spend all your hours on video games or Netflix or any of that good stuff, because trust me, I do that too. After it's become like a habit of mine. Once I get done with my vlog series, I mean my live every day. I do my live, get my notes from the producer, and then I go and I play a couple rounds on Battlefront, Star Wars game. You know. So I was I spend an hour on that, and then I'm done, and then I go into my evening. You know what I mean? Because that's the last thing I do for the day.
Yeah.
So, but you gotta take every hour, every minute, and use, because life is short, and before you know it, you're gonna be 37.
Yeah.
That's my age. How old are you right now?
21.
Okay. Before you know, I remember when I was 21. Before you know, it's funny because a lot of youngsters are always oh yeah, whatever, old man. It's okay, in a blink of an eye, you're gonna be 37.
No, but it's true, because look, when I was really young, my dream was to be older so that I could go out, drink stuff, and my parents are like enjoy your time right now, because this is one of the best times of your life, because you don't have responsibilities, you don't have worries, enjoy. And I was just you don't know what you're talking about. And literally the past 3 years has flew Like it flew by.
And it gets fat. Once you hit 30, it gets faster.
Oh
Once
man.
you hit 30, oh man, I remember my dirty 30. We went and partied at a club. It's on TV. You can watch it. I remember my dirty 30. That was 7 years ago. I'm 37 now.
Yeah.
It gets
So
faster.
make quality use of your time.
Every second of every day, use it to the fullest because it's gone.
Yeah. That's great, man. I don't know if I always ask every guest that comes on the podcast what their favorite book or that has impacted them somehow. I don't know if you're a big reader.
I remember reading Under My Covers in the Never-Ending Story when I was a kid. Yeah, I remember that.
That's the last time?
No, I've read a bunch of books, like college. I read a bunch of books in college, but
is there any source of reading material or even movie that has impacted you like in a great way?
I mean, a lot of the movies for me, and that's why I do a podcast called Madrigal at the Movies now. Movies for me have impacted me to want to get involved in the movie industry.
Okay.
That's what they spoke to me.
Okay.
You know? Like I wanted to create visions like that.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Last question I have is, if people want to reach you, find more about who you are, work with you, talk with you, maybe if there's a girlfriend out there looking for a man, where can they reach you?
So you can find me on my Instagram, Peter_Madrigal, Peter_Madrigal. My Twitter handle is LLPJMadrigal. I know I made it when I was young, when I was a kid. I was still in my 20s when Twitter came out. And this one girl was all like, you should be LLPJ Madrigal. I'm like, okay, yeah. And so I did it. It never changed.
Good.
And then YouTube is petermadrigal.live. So you just type that in and it'll take you to my YouTube.
Awesome, man. Well, it was an honor to have someone like you part of the podcast. And
thank you.
I look forward to seeing more of your projects in the future, man.
Thanks.
Take care.
Fun.